Alrighty, well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Krofchek, and I am going to be giving you some information for the cumulative test of 9 that we're having on Tuesday. Let's see, today is Thursday the 8th, Friday the 9th, 10/11, so I guess it'll be the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. It'll be Tuesday, November 12th, I guess, or whatever date Tuesday is, but it'll be Tuesday of next week. And of course, the purpose of this review is not to give you the answers to the test, and it's not to do all the problems either, but it's just to give you an idea of what to expect, and then you can go to those lessons and try to do a little bit of research and figure out some of the things. So you can do well on the test. The first thing it has to do with information coming from lesson 36. But I checked this out actually, and didn't really come from lesson. You have to know what the definition of a composite number is. And a composite number is a counting number that's greater than 1. Okay, it's got to be a counting number. Counting number is greater than 1. Okay, counting number greater than 1. And it's got to have more than 2 factors. So the factor it has to be something other than 1 and itself. So for example, like 3 would not be a composite number because the factors for 3 are 1 and 3. There's no other way, no other factors for 3. Something like 4, however, the factors for 4 would be 1, 4, and 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. So that would give us more than 2 factors other than the number 1 in itself, and it's a counting number greater than 1. So that's what a composite number is. So you're going to have one question that's going to ask you what is the probability of rolling a composite number with one roll of the dice. So you have to remember how to figure that out by knowing what a composite number is, how many total rolls there are. Remember, it's the part over the whole, and then you reduce that down. So you reduce it down and get your answer. Whatever it is obviously what it would be. So make sure you know how to do that. You have another question where it's going to give you multiple scores: 88, 80, 4, 86, 91, 93, whatever. And then it's going to ask you to find the mean of the scores, find the mean and the median. Okay, so look at lesson 28 and look at investigation 4 in your book. Investigation 4 will help you a little bit with that. I know we didn't do that investigation in class, but go ahead and look through it and look at lesson 28 with investigation 4. The next question comes from lesson 41, and it's going to give you a question or a problem like this: A times B plus C, and then it's going to say if A equals 3 and B equals 2 and C equals 0.5, what would the answer be? So you got to solve knowing how to do something like that. Another question is going to say refer to the election tally sheet to answer questions A and B. So it's going to give you a tally sheet, folks, with a bunch of people's names on it, a bunch of tallies. So it'll have a name here, a name here, a name here, a name here. Then it's going to have the tally marks. Now, I'm not going to draw this whole thing out. I'll be here all day. And you just have to answer questions based on the tally marks that you see. So that's what you're going to have to do for that question. Question 5 comes from lesson 37, and it wants you to find the area of a triangle whose vertices have these coordinates. So you're going to have coordinates. You're going to have coordinates, and the coordinate's going to give you a triangle. Then you have to know where your coordinates were to be able to find the area of the triangle. Remember, the area of the triangle is 1/2 the base times the height, or the area equals base times height divided by 2. Okay, so know how to be able to do that. Question number 6 is coming from lessons 22 and lessons 26. And it says diagram the statement, then answer the questions that follow. And here's a question. It says like 4/9 of those who rode the giant gyro at the fair were euphoric. 4/9 were euphoric. Okay, all the rest were vertiginous. Okay, so that means if 4/9 were euphoric and the rest were vertiginous, then 5/9 had to be vertiginous. I'm just going to abbreviate it. And what fraction of those who rode the ride were vertiginous? Well, it's 5/9 because that was the left over from 9/9. Remember, it's part over whole. The whole is 9, and the part would be 5 of them. What was the ratio of euphoric to vertiginous riders? Euphoric is 4, and vertiginous was 9, so it's a 4:9 ratio. That's how you would show that. All right, question number 7 is going to give us a rectangle, and it's going to tell us the rectangle is 60 meters. The perimeter equals 60 meters, so they want to know what is the length of the rectangle, and it's going to tell us that the height is 12. So we know to find perimeter we have to take our numbers all the way around and figure it out. We know we have 24 so far in the width, so take 24 from 60, that gives us 36. Got to divide that by 2 for each half, and it's going to be 18 and 18. And that's how we go about doing that. Stop my tape, pause it, and look at that until you understand it, and now we'll move on to the next question. Now it's going to give us something that's going to look like this, folks. Now this is not drawn to scale, of course, because I can't do that. And it's going to show us that we have a 90-degree angle by giving us a box. It's going to tell us we have 40 degrees here. And then it's going to show A, B, and angle C. Okay, A, and this is a B. Angle A, B, and C. And it's going to want us to find angle A, find the measure of angle B, and find the measure of angle C in the figure. And we're going to have to know how to do that. When we know that in this triangle it has to total 180 degrees. Well, here's 90, there's 40, so that's 130, so this has got to be 50 degrees. Okay? And if we know we have 50 degrees over here, and then we know that this line here, this straight line, is going to be 180, and we have 50, this is going to be 130 over here, right? We should know that. Well, not we should know that, we do know that. And then these opposites are the same, so this is 130 and this is 50, and that's how we answer that question. So pause the tape, look at that, and make sure it makes sense to you before you go on, and then you can go to lesson 40 to see that. Number 9 comes from lesson 43. Wants us to write 125% as a decimal number. So hopefully you know to do that. You put it over 100. You get rid of the decimal, the percentage sign by doing that. And then when we divide this, we move 2 places to the left to count for our 2 zeros. And that's going to give us 1.25. So the decimal for 125% is 1.25. Hopefully you'll understand that. If not, go to lesson 43 and review that, and that should help you. This one comes from lesson 43 also. I want you to take 8/5 and write that as a decimal number. Well, how would we write 8/5 as a decimal number? Easy. Take 5 and divide it by 8. 5, and we have a decimal here because 8 is 8.0. 5 goes into 8 one time, gives us 5, 3 left over. Bring down a 0, and bring our 5 goes into 36 times, and now our answer is going to be 1.6. And sure enough, if we take 1.6 and we multiply it by 5, then guess what we get? We get 80, but we have to go over 1 decimal place, right? And we go over 1 decimal place, and we have 8.0, which is the same thing as what we started with, and therefore we checked our answer and we know we're right. All right, number 11 comes from lesson 42. Lesson 42, and it wants us to round 15.54, repeating 5/4, excuse me, to 3 decimal places. 3 decimal places. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, now that one I'm going to leave you to look into a little bit. Go to lesson 42, read up on that, and make sure that you are aware of how to take that to 3. Let me tell you, because you know it may be tough for you. So remember, 5 4 is like saying 5 4 5 4 5 4. Okay, they want us to go over 3 decimal places. Decimal places are only places to the right of the decimal. We don't count this as decimal places. There's 1 decimal place, there's 2 decimal places, there's 3 decimal places. So we have 15.545, and then we look at our next number, which is 4, right? That's the one that's going to tell us if we round up or not. And because it's less than 5 or less, then this number, our third spot, our third decimal place, does not round up. So our answer is going to be 15.545. That's how we answer that. I was going to make you do that one, but I know you guys struggle with that a little bit, and I wanted to help you with that. Next question comes from lesson 42 also, and it wants us to divide 3.4 by 9. Divide 3.4 by 9 and write the quotient with a bar over the repeat end. So when you do this, make sure you write that bar over your repeat end. I'm not going to do it for you. We're going to let you do that one on your own. Lesson number 13 comes from lesson 39, and it wants us to solve. Solve and simplify for the rest of these. You're going to have things like 12 over 9 is equal to m under 0.8, and they want you to solve for m. So you know you have to get m by itself. So hopefully you'll remember how to do that, okay? And so you work on that. Look at lesson 39 if you're not sure, and it'll help you figure that out. You're also going to have to know how to do something like 6 equals 3.14 plus y. Okay, you have to get y by itself. So maybe you should take 3.14 and subtract it from both sides. I don't know. Maybe you should cross multiply these here. You know, check it out. See what you think. Another one you're going to have is going to come from lesson 3 and 35. This came from lesson 3 and 35. This one here did, and so is this one. Where you take 0.91 and equals 1 minus x. So how are we going to solve for that? Well, you figure that one out. Work on that one. I did the other for you, but this one here I'm going to let you do yourself. And then we have another one from lesson 30. And this one says take 5 2/5 plus 3/4 plus 3.5 and give us the answer. Simplify that. How are we going to do that? Well, somehow, guys, we have to convert all this to a common denominator. But you guys work on that. You try to figure that out, and we'll see what you come up with, what you get when you do that, okay? All right, so that comes out of lesson 30. If you need some help with it, that's where you can go. And then this is going to come from lesson 23. This next one comes from lesson 23. I want you to take 5 1/4 and subtract from that 3 minus 1 1/6. So look at lesson 3 if you have any questions with that, and hopefully it'll help you clear some things up. Also look at your notes. This is why you take class notes, so you can go back to those lessons and see how we did some of these examples. Okay, number 18 is from lesson 26. Write that down. 3 3/4 times 3 3/5 times 6. Okay, so if you don't know how to do that, if you don't know how to set it up, you know, I strongly suggest you go back to lesson 26 and review that so you'll know how to do it. And while you're in lesson 26, look at something like this. 10 2/3 divided by 4. Make sure you know how to solve for that problem. Okay, and then lastly, number 20 comes from lesson 35, and I want you to take 1.44 and divide that by 0.8 to get your answer. Alright guys, there's everything you need to know. I did a lot of the problems for you. Some of them I want you to work on your own. Listen, I want you to do well in this test. Study hard, and we'll see you in class. Okay, you guys have a great day.